This video is brought to you by Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876 309 6128. That's 876 309 6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. Welcome to Sports City. I'm Simon Preston. Jamaica in team sports, they haven't had a lot of experiences competing in world events. After 1998 in France in the FIFA World Cup, Jamaica's next appearance was in 1999 at the Under-17 World Cup, 2001 at the Under-20 World Cup, and all the way in 2011 for another Under-17 World Cup appearance. But now it seems as if Jamaica is going to be competing in much more team sports World Cups for years and years to come. 2022 alone has seen Jamaica compete at the Women's Senior Lacrosse World Cup. And in September, Jamaica will compete in the Rugby Sevens World Cup. But come October, Jamaica will be competing in the Rugby League World Cup in England. Now, I know there's a lot of questions and people will be asking, Simon, what's the difference? Rugby League, Rugby Union, are they the same sport? Are they different sports? What's the difference? So I'm going to do my best to explain it for you guys. So let's answer the first question. Rugby League and Rugby Union, they're two different sports. Okay, so rugby was invented in England. In the middle of a football match one day, a man by the name of William Ellis, basically picked up a ball in rugby, and William Webb Ellis, picked up a ball and decided to run with it. And this formed a new game, rugby. So basically, rugby was played, and eventually it spread all across England. Now, this game of rugby was later formed as the Rugby Football Union in England, and this was played around the country. So in England, you have the north and you have the south. The south is, of course, where the nation's capital is London, and the south is known for having the public schoolboys, and these were rich, prominent people in society. The northerners, they worked during the time of the Industrial Revolution. These people had to work for a living. They weren't as rich as the people from the south. So these are people from, generally speaking, Yorkshire, Lancashire, Manchester. By extension, because back in the day, Merseyside and Manchester were formed part of Lancashire back in the day. But now they're different counties. So Lancashire and Yorkshire in the north. In order for players from the north to play rugby, they needed to be paid because they had to leave their jobs in the north to go and play a game. And the Southerners didn't like this at all. They didn't like it at all. So when they saw that the Northerners were getting paid for playing a game, this created, in a sense, a division. So the Southerners created their Rugby Football Union, and the Northerners, the Rugby League Union, eventually known as Rugby League. Slightly different rules in both. I don't want to say slightly, many different rules. Rugby Union is played either 15 aside or 7 aside. Rugby League, 13 aside or 9 aside. That would be called League Nines or Rugby Sevens in Rugby Union. But the World Cup that Jamaica will be going to is called the Rugby League World Cup, and this will be their debut competing at the Rugby League World Cup. So this is the 13-a-side tournament, 80 minutes, 40 minutes per half. A team, you could say one of the main differences is what happens after the tackle in both games. In Rugby Union, you can have the possession for as long as you want. But in Rugby League, you have up to 6 tackles to try to score. Or else the other team will gain possession at that point where you last had the ball. And the scoring is slightly different. In Rugby Union, it's 5 points for a try. In Rugby League, it's 4 points for a try. And there's differences in terms of drop goal and penalty and conversion. 2 points for conversion in both. Two great games. Jamaica going to be in the Rugby Sevens World Cup in South Africa in September, and Jamaica will also be competing at the Rugby League World Cup in October, which is, of course, going to be in England. So let's talk about Rugby League in Jamaica. When did this all begin? Well, in July 2004, the Jamaica Rugby League Association was born. The administrative side of things was all set up and everything was put into place there. In 2005, there was a domestic competition set up featuring a couple of teams, Doheny Park Sharks, Vauxhall Vultures, Jamaica Defence Force, and the Olympic Angels. And in 2006, for the first time, these teams were playing an overseas team and they took on the West Yorkshire Police. And things started to blossom from there. And Jamaica's first international came in 2009. This game was against the United States in Jacksonville, Florida, and the Jamaicans lost that game 37-22. That was Jamaica's first game ever playing in Rugby Sevens. Jamaica's first game playing Rugby League. Jamaica's first game playing Rugby League was in 2009, first international game. That was, you could say, the genesis of everything. And you could say, look where Jamaica are at this point in time, because there has been tremendous strides that have been made. So in that game that the Jamaicans lost 37-22, Wayne Retty was Jamaica's first ever try scorer in International Rugby League. He scored a brace of tries that day. And also Jermaine Ray also got on the score sheet. Michael Brown as well. And goals, of course, from Ray and Danny Thomas. Danny Thomas, an absolute veteran of Jamaica. He's been there from the very, very beginning. So it's great to see him. I know Danny very well, and he's an outstanding individual. So big up to Danny, because Danny is just a cool, calm, and collected character. So this was a scoreline. United States 37, Jamaica 22. But, as we'll get to quite shortly, a little over a decade later, it will be Jamaica that will be having the last laugh. Absolutely. They would be having the last laugh here. So the journey continued, and Jamaica got their first victory in Rugby League the very next year. Absolutely, that's right. Jamaica got in a few more UK-based players into the squad, and of course, injected more local base in the camp. You could say individuals like Roy Calvert, who is part of the administration right now. He was with Doheny Park Red Sharks, and he was playing in that team on that particular occasion. Wayne Retty, Lamont Bryan, Jermaine Ray, Wayne Price, Alexander Brown, Greg Johnson were all part of Jamaica's team that recorded their first ever victory in Rugby League. Let me show you some of the stats from that game as Jamaica celebrated their first ever victory in Rugby League. So this victory came in 2010. In 2010, Jamaica's first victory in Rugby League. This was on November 18, 2010, almost 12 years ago, as they defeated Canada 32-12. Ashley Johnson, 3 tries. Greg Johnson, 1 try. Paul White, 1 try. And Alex Brown, 1 try. As the Jamaicans picked up their first ever victory in Rugby League. This was also in Jacksonville, Florida. So that was Jamaica's first ever victory in Rugby League. It was a moment of promise, a moment of hope, and a moment to bring enthusiasm. Okay, we can beat a team in our region. How can we do in World Cup qualifying? Can we go to a World Cup one day? Is that realistic? Is that possible? Well, how did Jamaica do in the 2013 Rugby League World Cup qualifiers? Let's have a look at that. In 2013 World Cup qualifiers, these matches took place in New Jersey, Campbell's Field in New Jersey. It was a 3-way competition between the United States, Jamaica, and South Africa, and the top team at the end of the qualifiers would qualify for the Rugby League World Cup. So, how did the qualifiers go in 2013 for Jamaica? Well, Jamaica defeated South Africa 20-6. Retty scored 2 tries. There was also a try for Paul White and also a try for Ryan Grant. 2 conversions for Jamel Coleman. This was 2013. And you could say in that World Cup decider, Jamaica fell 40-4 to the United States. That was the final score in that game. Disappointing, as Jamaica were 1 victory away from qualifying for the World Cup. Really disappointing. However, Rugby League players and Jamaicans as a whole, they're a tenacious unit. They believe in not giving up. They don't give up. They felt that if they continued and pushed and worked hard, that things would go their way, that hard work would pay off eventually. So they said, let's try again. Let's go again. Let's go again for the 2017 tournament. Let's see if we can qualify for the 2017 World Cup. And how did that match up? This was Jamaica's squad that day for the 2017 qualifiers. An intriguing mix of players as well. Ross Peltier, Mo Agaro, Richie Bart, Omari Caro, Joe Farrell, Danny Thomas. These were quality players in the Jamaican unit. So how did the qualifiers go in Jacksonville, Florida? Well, the Jamaicans fell 20-14 to the United States. Ross Peltier scoring 2 tries, Joe Farrell scoring a try. And they were held to an 18-all draw against the Canadians. The United States again qualified for the World Cup. Disappointing. Really, really disappointing. But in life, they say you try, you try, you try, and guess what? You'll succeed at last. But prior to that World Cup qualifier, Jamaica did record their biggest ever victory in Rugby League. They defeated Ireland 68-16. This match took place in Bray, Ireland on October 16, 2016. Jamaica defeated Ireland 68-16. Just let that sink in. They also drew with Wales, a match which arguably the Jamaicans could have won. The very next year, they took on France and had a narrow defeat. They were getting exposure, getting experience, getting opportunities against some top quality rugby league teams. So, what happened in 2018 when the qualifiers came around again for the World Cup qualifiers for 2021 to be hosted in England? Well, let's look back at that. Let's reflect on that. Let's see how the Jamaicans did. This is how everything panned out. The Jamaicans took on Canada. It was a 4-team tournament. Jamaica Canada, the USA, Chile, 2 semifinals. And basically, the winner in the final qualifies for the World Cup, and the runner-up heads to the Intercontinental Playoffs. And the third and fourth place game was basically a rankings game for points. The Jamaicans, in their semi-final, defeated Canada 38-8. Ben Jones Bishop with 2 tries. There was a try as well for Alex Brown, Lamont Bryan, Ashton Golding, John Magrin, and Danny Thomas. Jamel Coleman, 5 out of 7 conversions for him. The United States defeated Chile 62-0. And that sends a few shockwaves and say, this United States team, is it good? Or is Chile wasn't so great on the day? And then you saw the third place game and seen Canada score 62 on Chile. And then people said, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, we can get over the line. And the Jamaicans qualified for their first ever Rugby League World Cup. Jamaica went with a 16-0 lead at one stage. The likes of Jacob Ordgan, Joe Farrell, and a couple of goals from Jamel Coleman gave Jamaica a 16-0 lead. But the United States fought back. And guess what? At halftime, it was 16-10. But brilliant defensive performance from the Jamaicans in the second half ultimately led to Jamaica's qualification. At that time, Jamaica's Rugby League team were Jamaica's highest-ranked male sports team. Jamaica's highest-ranked male sports team at that time. Jamaica has been as high as 13th, 14th in the world. Right now, they're just outside of the top 20. But Jamaica's Rugby League team are Jamaica's second highest ranked male sports team. Only Jamaica's lacrosse team, men's lacrosse team, are higher as they're in the top 10. Who knows? Jamaica's Rugby League team one day can very much get there. Jamaica also had a couple of friendly matches after that. They took on the United States on home soil with a predominantly local-based team, and the Jamaicans got the better of the United States in that game in 2019. Later that calendar year, the Jamaicans took on the England Knights, which is essentially the England A team, you could say, basically the feeder team towards England's senior team. So they took on England Knights, and that game was in 2019. And that game, England Knights defeated Jamaica 38-6, Mason Catton-Brown getting the all-important try for the Jamaicans. And just a note about that game that was mentioned regarding the United States test match on home soil at UWI, Jamaica won that game 26-24. The pandemic came. There were plans in 2020 to have games, but the pandemic put apart those plans and also pushed the World Cup from 2021 to 2022. Jamaica had friendlies in 2021, in October 2021, took on England Knights and fell 56-4, and they drew with Scotland 30-30. Now the attention will swiftly go towards the World Cup, the Rugby League World Cup, which is in England and is set to run from the 15th of October to the 19th of November. So who is in Jamaica's group? Who is in Jamaica's group for the tournament? And where will Jamaica play their games? So let's have a look at that, shall we? Let's have a look at where Jamaica will play those games, how they will do, and how things will match up. So Jamaica have been drawn in Group C alongside New Zealand, Lebanon, and Ireland. The top 2 teams from each group will not only qualify for the quarterfinals, but will also book their ticket to the 2025 Rugby League World Cup in France. So if Jamaica wins 2 games at the World Cup, they'll already book their passage to the next World Cup in France in 2025. And you know Jamaica's history already with qualifying for major tournaments in France. France 98, and also the Reggae Girls in 2019. So can the Reggae Warriors also book their ticket to France? They'll open against Ireland on October 16, 2022 at the Headingley Stadium in Leeds. And then October 22, they'll face New Zealand in Hull. and then end the group stages on the 30th against Lebanon in Lee, which is in Manchester. So, Sport City fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about the journey of Jamaica's Rugby League team. Are you proud of the progress that they've made? Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Sport City. This video is brought to you by Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing.